The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Postgame Pod coming at you after the Boston Celtics fall to the Atlanta Hawks. 117-116 in the NBA Cup. And as faithful viewers and listeners of this podcast know, I tend to lose my mind after losses, especially bad losses. So, Kayla Burton, you get to make your Celtics Talk. It's not even your Celtics Talk debut because you're technically on the preview pod when we get our whole crew together. But this is your first post game pod where you're gonna have to listen to me vent.
I'm here for you.
Thank you. I hope you know.
This
you
is a therapy session. I'm here for you.
Exactly. You when you came in, you were like, "Is this therapy?" And I was like, "Pretty much."
Yeah, let it out, Chris.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna let out. I was really excited for the NBA Cup. I was excited for the fact that the Boston Celtics were going to have something extra to compete for early in the season, as good as they've been, a chance to just, with everybody else's eyeballs around the league kind of looking at all these games, with these bright green neon courts that we're playing on, and the Boston Celtics go out and commit 20 turnovers, allow 20 offensive rebounds, give up 25 extra shots to the Atlanta Hawks, who, by the way, are playing without Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, 9 other players. They brought 3 fans off the street to start for them tonight, and they still beat the Boston Celtics.
It was tough. It was a hard watch.
Okay. Talk me down from my ledge. Should I be as irrationally angry as I am?
No, you're rational.
Okay.
You're rational. I wouldn't go as far as saying, okay, it's going to crush the whole NBA Cup dreams. It's
made it more difficult.
It does make it more difficult because, there's only so many games in this NBA Cup series, but I'm trying to wrap my finger around which category I'm mostly upset about as well. And I think it's the O boards. 20 offensive boards. And Eddie House is – we laugh because we know from start to finish, start of this season up until this point, points in the paint have been just almost disastrous for the Celtics, not only because teams are – outscoring them in the paint but by how many? 68-32 tonight against the Hawks that don't have their key guys.
No Trae throwing lobs to Capella. I could almost justify it if it was a normal Hawks game because they do get a lot of points in the paint. But for whatever reason tonight, and so I gave you the stats on plus, but Celtics came in. They were essentially the number one team in turnover rate coming into the game, 11.5%, and now it almost doubles in this game. They were 9th best in offensive rebound percentage and gave up 45% of the Hawks' misses turned into offensive rebounds. Now, I can almost justify some of the offensive rebounds because their rookie, Ricochet he got 9 in a row on one of the first possessions. And I was like, okay, that's going to inflate that number. Their second chance points at halftime weren't bad. That's why when we're doing what are we most irrationally upset about, for me it's the turnovers. Because, that's preventable. That's just sloppy. That's, okay, maybe there's some box out stuff. Maybe you're just getting outworked a little bit on the glass. But this is just there were so many moments where they just felt like they were throwing it to another defender, allowing a leak out, and I wanted to lose my mind.
Yeah, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both combined 11 of, 20? 20 they had?
Yeah.
20 turnovers. Yeah, 11. And that's the Jays we're talking. They're not always going to be perfect. And sure, you're going to point towards them every single game, and they do so much. So credit to them on a regular basis, but also what Joe Mazzulla said at the end of this game, and you could tell he was he's pissed.
You can see a different Joe, right?
Short. What's your question? I don't have time. I don't care. He is to the point out, and really was blatant about it. We got out-toughed, outworked. They were more physical than us, and one question was directed his way, Joe, is it the sloppiness, the laziness with the turnovers? And he was like, to be honest, I don't even think it was laziness. It was when we were getting beat up a little bit, then there goes the sloppy pass. So I just think for a team that does show aggression and physicality, when you get outworked and out-toughed, by a group that doesn't even have their go-to guys, that's when the red flag starts to pop up.
I want to give credit. The Hawks deserve a ton of credit. Dyson Daniels, he was
6 steals.
Amazing. Jaylen Brown, they were fantastic out there, and yet there should be no world, and I say this with as much respect for the Hawks as possible, there should be no world where on a game that means a little something extra that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown should get outworked and outmuscled by a team like that is that undermanned. And so, again, credit to those guys. They played their butts off. They made shots when they had to. They made plays. Every time I thought the Celtics were like kind of stiff-arming them and going to make a run, every time I thought Jason Tatum's three-pointer from the corner was three-quarters of the way down.
I want to rip my hair out of my head, and you can't see me, but I'm physically like pulling my hair because maybe it's the former athlete in me that hears like, we got to give credit to them. I hate giving credit to them. They do deserve the credit. They outworked the Celtics tonight, and good for them. They're professionals. That's the one thing that, is just the focal point in my mind. Each team against the C's. They're going up, and they know they're going up against the defending champs. Look what Giannis did. He had 30-plus points, and he's still, throwing that elbow into JB's chest and making petty moves with that fake handshake. Like, teams are pissed off, and they want to come for the Celtics. So, look, it's a long season. I get it. But if anything, you're in the NBA Cup. You're talking about, a tournament, an in-season tournament that's supposed to be the
We were all
opposite.
hyped up for this thing.
Right, right. Like, you don't...
How were we more hyped and ready for this than the Boston Celtics?
Because we're media.
I guess so. We're looking for something.
But, look, I mean... you would think I'd be pretty hyped if I know at the end of it I'm getting an extra $500,000. Now that $500,000, per player,
I'm
may
making
be different.
sure no 20 turnovers if there's $500,000.
Right, it may be a
line.
nickel to them, but let me tell you, I'm playing for $500,000. I'll tell you that. But Forsberg, you're so validated and feeling the way that you feel. I'm here to.
I appreciate that.
Pat your back and be here for you because it is frustrating. You look at this team, and I don't think it's anything that's, oh my gosh, what are the Celtics? Who are they? Like, when you're out rebounded and outscored in the paint, and that's something that's a consistent thing for them and a consistent issue, then I start to think, like, I can understand the frustration for Joe Mazzulla, because it's one thing if it's like, okay, this night it's, they're not good in this area, but it's starting to become a more consistent problem. And it's like, okay, well, the issue. You guys watch film probably more than you're asleep at night. Right. So how do you fix that area, especially because they're going up against Brooklyn and, Claxton had 10 boards last time that they played him.
So, and I don't think there's a ton of easy answers. You're like kind of like no Al Horford probably tomorrow night on the second night of a back-to-back. And so that's going to put a lot of pressure on Nemi and Luke Cornett and maybe playing a little bit more small. I think the bigger issue here, too, to me is like Jason Tatum didn't look himself. He tried to dismiss the ankle roll against when Giannis slid under him, but then had another like little landing issue in this game. And you're like, it's just not quite himself. Jaylen Brown, who I thought would maybe be feeling it after coming back, and the hip flexor was phenomenal.
Popped off.
But same deal. It's just I'm a little surprised that this team had every ample opportunity to move past when it was making mistakes and just couldn't. And back to your point about, am I more mad at the Celtics or do I give more credit to the Hawks? I'm more mad at the Celtics because that's how I have to feel. I hold this team to such
1,000%
to a crazy high standard, and I just expected more from them. And so it all comes back to I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, and that's probably the way Joe Mazzulla feels. Although Joe seemed pretty like, I'm gonna go yell at this team a lot.
Well, look at the talent comparisons. Like, the Celtics are on paper better than not just the Hawks, not just the Pistons, every team. I mean, maybe the Cavs will come in and it'll be a legitimate competition. But this was one where the Celtics, remember when Russell Westbrook was asked, did they win or did you lose? Did you guys lose this one? I kind of have that same question. Like, the Celtics lost this one. It was in their control. And when you come into this, I feel like as a player too, look, I'm not in their specific position or anything. I'm not a professional out there on the court. But when in the back of your mind, all right, Trae Young's not in the picture. Some of their go-to guys are out. You kind of
100%. You're down.
Take it a notch down.
Exactly.
And it becomes
only natural
concern.
Human tendency. But that's what they've been fighting all year. The thing has been, we're not going to allow those things to creep in. We're not going to an undermanned opponent isn't going to be disrespected. And I don't think they did. I just thought they were just incredibly, incredibly sloppy.
Yeah. It didn't even look like them. Like, it did not look. I mean, shout out D. White for having a season high and keeping them in it. I mean, that fourth quarter presence was where, it was coming down. The shot clock was coming to an end. He had to come up and create plays. That alley-oop to Jaylen Brown. Like, he's just in the paint trying. If he didn't have a block here today, he's doing it the day before. Like, he's consistently consistent. He's showing up day in and day out. And you could say the same for Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. But here's the thing. When Brown, not Brown, because Brown was on tonight. When Jason Tatum takes even the slightest bit off the gas, like, it's noticeable.
For sure.
It's noticeable. And Brown missed those 4 games, and you can see when he's back in the mix, it's also noticeable. Yeah. And it kind of sucks, Chris, because here you have guys who had season highs between Brown and D. White, and you want to, like, tip your hat off and credit and celebrate it and win it.
You're saying, like, all this stuff about Jaylen. I'm like, man, he really was. He was great tonight.
But you can't.
but he missed those free throws at the end, too. Like, like all the little stuff added up to their defeat. So, Kayla, you have made me feel slightly better. But we're going to have to wait till tomorrow night. We're going to have to wait till tomorrow night to see if I can turn the page and feel a little better. Let's end on this. Did you like the court? And can we blame the court?
I see a tear coming down your eye right now.
Or can we blame the basketballs? Is there anything we can say this was not like the Celtics' fault?
I don't think.
No, we can't. Okay, you're right.
There was too many hard workers putting that parquet floor together. It was just.
Both teams played on it.
So much went into it.
I look at it.
This is the C's. It's on them. What's the saying? Like, the first part about fixing the problem is knowing that you have one. And here tonight, Chris, we just have to identify we have a problem. It was the Celtics.
All right. Well,
we'll be all right.
We've solved that issue. I'm gonna look ahead to Brooklyn. I'm gonna let you get out of here so I can just scream into the void.
I got you.
But we'll see what our level is. Remember, we got post up tomorrow night too.
I hope it's a lot more energy than what was happening tonight.
No promises. All right,
Jason
here's more
Tatum, clean up the turnovers, please, for Chris's sake.
Gear up for more in the year of 24 at the award-winning 24 Auto Group. This is our year, and we want to celebrate it with you. That's why we've got sales and service specials, giveaway contests and prizes, and fun family events happening all year long. So tune in every 24th of the month for the latest year of 24 news and offers. With 10 convenient locations across Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and 8 top brands, we have the knack to save you more in the year of 24. Visit us in-store or online at 24autogroup.com.
Joe, 20 offensive rebounds allowed, 20 turnovers.
Yeah.
Seems like that's a matter of effort and focus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that, that's uncharacteristic for you guys. What's your kind of reaction to how they came out?
They outplayed us. Every facet of the game. Beat us on all the margins, and they deserve to win.
Is that, that feels like that was preventable from your end. Credit to them, but also, what was it that kind of like held you guys back?
They played harder and they played more physical than we did, and they got 20 offensive rebounds and forced us into 20 turnovers. So you let a team outshoot you by the shot margin like that, and you're not going to win. Yeah.
Joe, can you the turnovers? A lot of them were just careless entry passes. What can you attribute to kind of just the carelessness with the ball?
Their physicality, their ball pressure, threw a couple of passes on our heels. Their long, active hands, but just didn't. Some of the reads were there. We just didn't connect on the passes. But it's a credit to their physicality and their ball pressure.
And their ability to score in the paint. Kwandu, he had Jaylen or Derek on him every time, so he was just shooting over him. It seemed like they just scored at will at the rim. Is there something you guys could prevent, or is it just something that you're going to accept if they don't shoot three? How does that go?
Yeah, we got cross-matched on them a few times, but they got rebounds and layups on everybody, big, small, mediums. So they just outplayed us at both ends of the floor.
Do you guys need to improve your rim protection at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. We can get better at that. Yes, absolutely.
What do you think is, it just feels like you've had some highs and lows in rim protection this year. What do you think has impacted you guys in that area specifically?
Individual defense is the most important thing. And then, we're playing smaller, and so we have to be better at our individual defense.
How do you feel about the defense overall this year?
We're third in actual, third in expected. So,
Joe, not to make excuses, but because it was a storyline last year, did the players report that the ball or the court felt different at all?
No, I didn't hear that. Yeah.
Questions? Okay, thank you, Joe.
Yep.
All right, so one of the common themes coming out of this one, as Joe Mazzulla was just answering about, is the points in the paint, which we again saw all night, Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, again, when points in the paint, you're going to get second chance opportunities. Atlanta was plus 11. He talked about physicality. They outworked them, and that's usually what it is. Like, getting a rebound is not. It's some technique involved in that. Some reading the ball off the rim for the great rebounders, but for a lot of guys, it's just about finding a body, put a body on them, box out, and then go attack the ball as it comes off the rim. They were more aggressive with that, 68-32, and 38 of their 68 coming in the second half. We only had 10 in the second half. Right now, we're giving up 52 points in the paint per game, and that is bottom third in the league. And then we're only getting 39 points. I know we shoot a lot of threes, and so I understand that. And we only get 39 points in the paint, so we're last with that. So we have to find, some sort of balance. And it's okay sometimes to get to the rim, to get an easy bucket, to get a deuce. We don't always have to shoot a three. And this ain't an overreacting the button ain't here, but I'm not going to push a panic button on this. But these are little tiny red flags. And while they're small, you want to stomp them out so they don't become big red flags that could affect you later on in the season, or something that somebody could look at and say, this is how you could attack this team. This is how you could beat this team. So the 20 turnovers, I think that's an anomaly, 13 in the second half. I don't believe that that's something that they would do on a continuous basis. Not holding a team under 25 points in a quarter, I don't think that is something that will happen on a continuous basis. But it happened tonight, and when it happens, you end up losing a basketball game to a team that you are for sure supposed to beat. But hey, they're professionals on the other side, in a different uniform, and they're trying to come take something that you have. And no matter what it is, if it's the joy of winning tonight, or if it's the joy of being the champion of last year, or if it's the joy of thinking that you're going to win the in-season tournament, they came in here and they took something from them.
Real quick, when you're talking about being physical as far as the points in the paint goes, how much of that is also on the perimeter, defending, not getting beat off the dribble, not getting beat off the pick and roll?
Well, I think more so besides that, yeah, you got to take the challenge off rip, the one-on-one challenge off rip. In the pick and roll, in this two-on-two situation. But when a shot goes up, it's about finding a body, boxing out, and just trying to outwork somebody. And Joe Mazzulla said they outworked them. The Atlanta Hawks outworked the Celtics, and they were more physical. That's probably the second or third time we didn't heard that, right? And all of those equated to what?
Losses.
Exactly. So we got to clean that up.
Celtics Talk is presented by 24 Auto Group, where now through the end of the year, they are doubling your down payment at all 11 locations throughout southern New England. Go to 24autogroup.com for more info.
We spent a lot of time in the pregame show talking about the point differential and everything else. Joke was on us because right now the point differential is -1 for the Celtics.
Wait, the joke was on who? Not us. Who on who?
Well, I mean, for us
on you.
About it. Oh, just me? I was the only one?
Yeah. I damn sure didn't take that. I'm just saying. You know what?
I'll accept responsibility on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
that was you pushing out that information. I was pushing out the information that we need to rebound the basketball, and that was the key to the game. Okay. And for me, I look at it as, rebounding and those things are controllables. It's an effort. And if Joe comes in and says you got outworked, you got out physical, those are effort things. Like, those can be fixed. What can't be fixed is if that continues to be a theme, because then that's just who you are and your identity. Remember, Scal, the last game, was like, I don't know what our first quarter identity is. I don't know what but our identity is, Jaylen Brown usually gets off to a fast start, or Jason gets off to a fast start and they ride one of those guys, or maybe it might be D. White, because remember, D. White came out, had 12 points early against the Warriors, right? Yep. And so that's what we ride. But we got to start hanging our hat on the defensive end. We know how talented we are offensively, but it has to, we're constantly getting beat in the paint, and it might sound like I'm beating a dead horse. Well, we getting beat in the paint, so until we stop getting beat in the paint, I ain't gonna stop beating that dead horse. And so I'm looking at it as like, you can't get outworked and 38-10 in the second half in the paint. That's two things. Number one, you're getting out rebounded, right? Giving up second chance points, and then you're not attacking, and you're just settling. And are you allowing them to keep you from getting to where you're trying to go? Are they dictating to you, or are you just settling? And so all those things aren't good regardless. And we're not going to overreact to one game. You know, it's an 82-game season. We're 9-3 right now. We still have a great opportunity to move forward. But in this in-season tournament, we wanted to get off to a good start, especially when they were short of three of their starters, right? Three of the guys that they really rely on. So just looking at this, they had 25 more field goals than us.
Yeah.
You can't win a game. Listen to this. You ain't going to win a game.
Field goal attempts.
There we go.
25 more field goal
You're
attempts.
not going to win a game if the other team gets 25 more attempts, you turn the ball over 20 times, and you give up 20 offensive rebounds. It's just not going to happen. And you lose the second chance, 18 plus 11, 18-7. You're not going to win a basketball game. So all these numbers scream, you should lose this game. The fact, I'll say the silver lining in it, and I don't like silver linings in no loss, let me tell you that. But the silver lining in this loss is we lost by 1 point with all of those things happening.
Yeah.
We could clean those things up.
Yeah, I would think so.
Jaylen, last couple of games, you guys started off really slow, started off kind of slow again this game, and it just seems like recently the focus has been a little bit more selective on your part as a team. What has gone into that?
Nothing. I think we just got to do a better job. Nothing going into it. We just got to do better. Give credit to Atlanta. They came out, played physical, and we didn't. You know, those big fellas sealed us a lot for a lot of easy layups. We just gave away too many layups this game, and defensively, it cost us. But that, on top of the turnovers, you know, that was a seal for this game.
The turnovers, I mean, there are turnovers where they are playing great defense, but it seemed like maybe some more of the turnovers were more on you guys. Would that be accurate to say?
Yeah. I still give Atlanta credit. They came out and played physical, but me and JT got to be better. We had 20 turnovers as a team, and me and him both had 11 combined. And some of those was offensive fouls and whatever, but still just we got to be better securing the ball, getting to our spacing. And we didn't do that tonight, and it cost our team.
Joe, what was your view on what happened with the inadvertent whistle when you had the steal there?
What was the deal?
What was your view like?
Just trying to make a play all the way through the whistle. You know, we had an inadvertent turnover, you know, with an opportunity to go to go up. So just trying to make something happen. I guess he blew the whistle, thinking that I was out of bounds, but I wasn't. I was able to get that steal, but wasn't able to convert on the offensive end.
You guys obviously, you know, set a pretty high standard for yourselves, but it does seem like this last week or two you haven't quite been at the level you're used to. What kind of things are you seeing, you know, beyond maybe the starts, just in general, that you guys need to clean up a little more?
Defense, setting the tone, you know, physicality, you know, too many layups. I think we guarded the three-point line well. Just physicality, switching, rebounding, stuff like that, that we got to, you know, night to night we got to be great at. And tonight we wasn't.
Jaylen, a few games ago, Joe talked about, like, embracing the chaos of a game. This felt like a pretty chaotic game. Like, Atlanta made a point to make it chaotic. How do you – what's the difference between – I think it was the Bucks game when he said it, like in a game like that where you're able to match that versus tonight? Is it just, you know, what happened?
I think, I think mentally we just was too careless tonight. We expected to win, too careless, and it showed. I think the number one category it showed was on our turnovers. Uncharacteristic of us to have 20 turnovers, and under any circumstance, I just think that just displayed that, you know, we wasn't in sync like we normally were. So we got to be better at that, and I got to be better at that.
Jaylen, you mentioned the defense. Inside, guarding the rim specifically, what have you noticed in terms of what has impacted your guys' ability to protect the rim in a game like this?
We switch, so we just got to fight. We're a team that likes to be able to switch, but you got to rebound and you gotta fight. Some of those bigs, they got a lot of seals tonight. Okongwu and Capella did a good job offensive rebounding and sealing some of our switches, and made us pay for it. And we just got to fight better. We didn't fight how we normally do tonight.
Jaylen, how do you increase that physicality? Like, how do you become the harder playing team all the time?
It's just a mentality. It's a mentality, and this is a part of the journey. But we got some stuff to clean up. We're not a perfect team. It's a new season. It's a new journey, and we're looking forward to embracing, those moments. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna address what needs to be addressed. So we got to be able to move forward. Can't let it turn into, a habit. We got to be able to respond well. So we looking forward to film. Got a back-to-back coming up. We're gonna put it behind us, but we're gonna learn from these situations, and we'll be better.
All right, up next, Celtics going down to Brooklyn. Got to dust themselves off. As me and Kayla was saying, a couple little wrinkles here. So Al Horford played the first end of this back-to-back, so will not play down there in Brooklyn. Jason Tatum, I think, in the locker room did say that he plans to play tomorrow, kind of headed that off. We'll see if that's a good idea. Tatum's a gamer. He wants to play. Understandable, especially coming off a loss that he would want to be out there. Didn't always look himself out there, but undeniably it's better for the Celtics if he is out there. We'll see what else the injury report turns up when they announce it tomorrow. But, look, this is a Brooklyn team that I keep calling. I don't even know, loose cannon, a bunch of guys that maybe they're part of Brooklyn's future. Maybe they're looking for their next team. I haven't quite figured it out, but they're winning games. They're pushing teams. Took the Celtics to overtime last week. So it's not going to come easy. And the Celtics, if they play the way they did tonight, will not survive that game. And, I think that's part of there wasn't a lot of prolonged losing streaks last year. I'm not trying to get too far down. It's one loss. It's one point loss. And yet, I do think this is going to be a tricky game. So they've got to come in a little bit more mentally locked in, a little bit more focused. It's weird because you got 4 of the next 5 days after that are off. There's only a Saturday night game against Toronto. So maybe you can expend a little bit more, kind of go full throttle, try to get this thing back on track. And then, let's face it, you start looking at the calendar, Toronto on Saturday, and then that big showdown with Cleveland on Tuesday night, a chance maybe to muscle your way back into NBA Cup considerations. That you've made the path more difficult. As we keep saying, it's not the be-all, end-all for this Boston Celtics team. But it would be nice if that was something that could help drag us through the month of November and into December, and at least be a little carrot for them to kind of turn it up. And for whatever reason, they did not have it on this night. They got to be better down there in Brooklyn. We'll be right back here with you on the Postgame Pod. Hopefully I will not need to drag anyone in here to have a therapy session, and we'll be talking about Celtics finding their way and looking more like themselves. But until then, go subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk Podcast.